Well, listeners, I'm about to introduce you to a band for the very first time on our show in just a moment. The band I'm talking about is a band called Eccentric Pendulum, which I'm sure you're going to fall in love with very, very quickly. They've got a brand new album that is about to come out, and tonight we've actually got most of the band on the phone to chat to you a little bit about this brand new album. But to kick things off, I think I'll let each member introduce themselves one by one and tell us a little bit about the band. So, guys, can we kick off with each of you telling us a little bit about yourselves and what you do for the band?
Arjun, you guys go first. All right, cool. I'll go first then. Hey everybody, this is Ashish here. I'm one of the guitarists of Eccentric Pendulum. Currently on this new record, because technically I haven't been with the band for a good 12, 13 years, ever since I moved out of India. I currently live in Germany. So I've been away from the guys for a while, and away from the band for a while as well. But things got us together, and fate brought me back on this album, and yeah, that's how I'm on this call right now.
Hi, myself Varun here. We are basically in India. Me, myself, and Arjun are in India right now, and I handle the bass duties for the band. And on this album, it so happened that I just played some of the guitars and did the vocals too. I'll just hand it over to Arjun.
Hey, I'm Arjun here. Been in the band for quite a while now. I think I replaced Ashish when he moved out of India. So yeah, I handle guitars primarily for the band.
So, guys, one of the things I've noticed that you've said now is that the band is spread all around the world. How does that work for you guys when you're working on an album like this, being spread all around the world?
I think metronome is the key. We had some demo tracks which we had been working with, and the metronome is the common denominator for us that ties us together. And yeah, it's quite simple actually. And it so became like a mandatory thing once COVID hit that we need to do some of the stuff online more than offline, And we had some members coming in and going out, and things were getting really busy, and things were not in control. So we just got together and cut this album however we could. We were supposed to release this back in 2018 or 19, if I'm not mistaken, and finally it's now come out in 2024. We do have a stable lineup though right now in India, where we're playing live. Tomorrow we go to Bombay.
Awesome, awesome. So, Ashish, tell us a little bit about yourself coming back to the band as well. What made you decide to come back to the band, and how have you found coming back to the band to work on this album?
Yeah, so I think kind of trading off from the question that you asked previously as well, I think what's helped us get this album together is we've primarily grown up together, and our taste in music is very similar, and our the way we write songs and the way we write riffs is very complementary of each other. So even despite being continents apart, we could still have faith in the contribution of every other band member, because we've known each other for so long, and we know what to expect and what kind of quality to expect from the band members. For me personally, coming back to play guitars in this album has been a great opportunity, primarily because Arun, myself, and Vibhas and Nikhil were the original original members of Eccentric Pendulum, and that sound of the band originally came from the fact that we have a very unique style of writing music and a very unique style of writing riffs. And so I had a bunch of riffs that I was sitting on that had the Eccentric Pendulum stamp on it. It wasn't, I hadn't played those songs with any other band. And in my mind, when I was writing those songs or those riffs, I was writing them from the perspective of these songs are Eccentric Pendulum songs. They don't fit in any other band. They didn't fit any other genre. So I had these riffs lying around, and when we decided to work on this album, it seemed like the perfect opportunity to get them on record and finally release them and see what people think of it. These riffs were not going to work anywhere else, so it was meant to be on this record.
Definitely. So, guys, lyrically, what kind of things are explored on this album?
Usually the lyrics when it comes to metal is kind of cliched. I think here too it is a bit cliched, but I think you've tried to hit some new ground with respect to the words being used, the grammar and the enunciation. It mainly deals with what greed, wealth, politics and stuff like that, but not in the current era, in an old era like a Game of Thrones era minus the dragons, you can say.
Definitely. So talk us through the recording process for the album. You mentioned that this was an album that almost could have come out in 2018. So talk to us a little bit about the last few years. What's it been like? How have you put together tracks and things like that? Has that been a pretty enjoyable experience, or has it been a challenging experience?
I think one of the good things with all the songs is, if I'm not mistaken, every single song that we wrote always found its legs in some sort of a demo or the other. So at any given point in time, all of us had heard these songs, maybe not in the current final state of the album, but I would say close to about 70 to 80% was always in a demo state. So even things like all the guitar parts that Ashish would write, we'd always listen to it with some sort of reference. So we knew where the songs were going. Even the stuff between Arun and I was always in some sort of a demo state. So I think all we had to do was finally sit down and just compile all of these things and put them together. But having said that, I think it was easy for us to pull together because we had a lot of that source material lying around with us.
Definitely.
I think we have...
go ahead.
So I think we have two stages to this album, if I can remember right. One was from 2012 to 2015 stage, and the other stage was from 2018 to 2022. So we've been sitting on some of the songs from the previous decade, and some of the songs are brand new. We wrote them very recently, and that's why the variety on the album is quite good, and it's still rooted in a old school death metal style of an album, which we were trying to do from back then.
How did you find that experience going back to some of the older tracks and bringing them to life? Did you find that an enjoyable experience?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was more of a burden not doing it, so we had to get it done. And no matter what, we got it done in the last couple of years. Be it some unrest or be it some kind of a volatile situation wherever in the world or within the band or whatever, all that did not matter. Finally, we just got together and got the stuff done, and we're just happy about it now, I guess.
So tell us also a little bit about the special guest. You've got Hans Grossman as a special guest on this album. Tell us how that came about and what it was like to work with him.
Yeah, so I worked with him previously on another project called Model Collapse, and that's how I tried to get him to this album. And he was basically very busy touring and family stuff and things like that, so he could just record one song. Earlier, maybe I would have tried to make him record the entire album, but that did not happen. And then we did find Kevin Paradis. He was also quite vocal about his session playing and things like that all over the internet and social media, and that's how we found him. And we also have another good friend of ours from Bombay. His name is Sahil. I don't know if you've heard of Demonic Resurrection, and he has already worked with Kevin Paradis, and he came highly recommended. And once we gave him the tracks, stuff got done really fast. He was a real pro, and he would get things done in no time, He's also the man behind the mixing and mastering of this album, not only playing the drums. So he had a good grip over this project to take it to the finish line.
Definitely. So now with the album coming out, what are the plans now for the band? You mentioned that you're about to do a show in Bombay, but what are the plans going forward? Are you hoping to maybe head back to Europe and do some shows? What are the plans?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what kind of budget we can save in the coming year and what kind of a touring agent we can find. If we want to like go all out and play 10 days out of 12 days, or if we just want to play 2-3 days out of 10 days, I would definitely like to go back to Europe for a couple of weeks at least. But we don't know. We need to plan it, and most of the time it's like quite difficult for an Indian band to go to Europe, mainly because of budget and secondly because of visa. But I think we can get through those hurdles when the time is right, and we will try to go abroad and promote this album and tour. For this year, I think we would like to tour a little more in our country and probably Nepal and probably the northeastern part of India, which we have never been to so far. So that's the plan. Let's see how it goes.
Definitely. Now, Australia and India have a very close relationship between our two countries. I know a lot of our listeners are going to ask, is there any chance that you might head to Australia at some stage for some shows?
Australia, Australia and USA are quite far. We're right stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure about that. The budget just shoots. As I told you, even when Europe itself is going to be a difficult affair, I think Australia is going to be doubly, triply a difficult affair. But again, it depends on our luck and who we find, what kind of touring agency we find, who is interested in having us there, what are we playing? Are we going to play a festival gig? Are we going to play a pub gig? So a lot of question marks. So if everything works good, we don't mind playing any country,
Awesome.
And I guess it also depends on. It'd be awesome if your listeners in Australia end up buying our vinyl and buying our CDs, because I think that's going to be the easiest sell to a tour manager to say that, hey, we want to tour Australia, because folks in Australia are listening to us and spending money on Eccentric Pendulum. So if we can make that happen, then that would be the best outcome.
Definitely. So I suppose I should ask, if people do want to buy your vinyl or do want to buy your CDs, where is the best place for them to go to buy them?
Bandcamp, always.
Yep.
And today happens to be Bandcamp Friday, so 100% of the money comes to us.
Okay, and we'll put that link up as well on our website for our listeners out there if you want to check out the Bandcamp. That link will be up on our website. But guys, to finish off, what would you like to say to people out there who are about to hear your music for the first time and also listen to the album as well? What would you like to say to those people?
Yeah, I think one of the things that at least strikes me the most is the amount of variety on this album. At least, if you're listening to it with a fresh pair of ears, you don't really know what to expect going into it because of the number of people and their influences that have sort of found its feet in the album. So I think there's something for everyone. For the more keen listener, there's a lot of details and there's a lot of very intricate parts. So I think there's something for everyone. So fans of progressive metal, even subgenres like death and thrash would have something to look forward to. So yeah.